On record saying you'll do a drug test? You just signed Raghu Deva's stoner film, Devdas 420. Can't go method for it, huh?
First of all, we are in talks.
Chill, 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 hey, chill now. दिल है chill now. हमारा देवदास गांजा मारता है.
Sudesh, you know, let's start with the kind of country, the kind of government, the kind of movies. All right. Now, in this Vrunda world that we live in now, yeah, how do you feel your film and the kind of things it was warning about have shaped up?
Very interesting, Raja, because when we were making this, we didn't know Dhurandhar was going to get made, right? But I think we got some idea of shape of things to come with the way Uri had already been done, and the fact that Uri had swung an election was really worrying for me, which is why I thought, like, we're talking about Bollywood and politics. So let's go back and look at that period, like where Bollywood actually swung an election because there were attacks and then there was attacks riding on a 100-run pico movie. So that was kind of why I decided to really make Bollywood a player in this movie. I'd initially written this as a dramatic sort of a love story, as like the third part of the trilogy, which started with Good Night, Good Morning and Signy Side B. But in the pandemic, everything was closed. We didn't know what was going to happen, and I just wanted to finish my trilogy, but I was waiting, and I knew there's no way I could make a love story that to a drama in the pandemic. So I needed the right setting for the film. And I think that happened when Kangana said 99% of Bollywood is on drugs. And the minute she said that, I think everything else fell into place. I knew how I could put it together. So I just had to do a little bit of character rewrites and then do it. And the rest is, these guys were just amazing. They workshopped together. And Shaurya is a comedian himself, so he's got some social awareness, especially because he's done viral videos on Kajam. So we kind of knew what we were doing. It was like a risky thing. We may never be able to release it. Never be able to release it. We might actually be rounded up if there's an actual crackdown, right? So we were kind of prepared for trouble and just to speak very previous. But yeah, it's quite a coincidence that Gurandhar got made, and it cannot be a 130 to 140 page movie, for 130 to 140 minute movie. So I had told them, like, it's 13, 14 pages long, but I want you guys to perform it in 9 minutes. So the rehearsals would go on till we could get an organic rhythm within 9 minutes of the 13 pages. So they really struggle to get it right, because it's not just about acting, but also to deliver it at a sort of a Sorkin kind of speed. Like, because there's no other way to do it. Like, if you want to be very elaborate with writing, we can't take our time. We can't be indulgent simply because, like, I'm not Sorkin. I can't feel like entitled that people are going to watch a 130, 140 minute movie, which I have written, right? I can't. So from the beginning, I was very aware that it needs to be shot at a certain pace. So I think the reversers did help. But I think the bigger problem was the physical limitations, because there was no crew.
Right.
I was alone and I was shooting with a T camera setup. I was also recording audio at the same time. I had done the production design, the costumes and everything. The only person we had on set was a makeup artist in hair. And I suspect if I knew how to do it, might be.
The next film, we are doing this anymore. I'm done with independent filmmaking.
Because I cringe every time I watch my films. I cringe more so with this one because I feel like I didn't do justice to the cinematography of it. And there were a lot of factors, right? Like, sometimes it was losing talent halfway into the film that we had to figure out how to do it. Patchwork and all that. And some days there was like, we had only one day with Suchi and we had to cram in 25 minutes of shoot in one day. How did we do that for me? Yeah, and to get Suchi's performance, because I didn't want anyone else to do that part, because I knew that part had to be Suchi. So I think the restrictions were the technical ones. Like, I couldn't I didn't get the coverage I would have ideally wanted to get. Like, sure, for example, what was blocked as a park bench scene, the construction noise was too much and the light was too harsh, so we had to shift it indoor, right? So because all the scenes shot in my house were all shot in like 2 or 3 days, there was a lot of minutes that were shot in like too little time. So obviously, I'm not a fan of the cinematography of the film. It was very, very basic. But at some level, it's also to let anyone know that to make a movie, as long as you put the camera on faces of the actors, you might be able to get through if you have something interesting there. So it was a gamble that I took, and I was lucky to find the film in the course of the edit. But I wouldn't recommend anyone to do everything themselves ever. This was like a rare thing because the pandemic was the rarest of scenarios where I had to do it. And even the audio was pretty bad because, like I said, the construction noise was there. And then luckily we had Ivan Russia, who did a pretty good job in cleaning the sound. Otherwise, we wouldn't get this kind of sound in outdoor spaces and even indoor with all the construction that happens in pop. So yeah, the technical aspects I do agree. Not like
No, not. It's not about not like. What I'm curious about, and the only thing I'm going to ask you about this obviously, it's what I was asking the actors also about the scenes where, like, you have the two of them, say, sitting on a couch and having this long conversation.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of, correct. It's several pages of fire. Yes. And you are not moving. You are not doing over the shoulders. You're not doing anything. So was that, again, that was the limitation, or was that a decision?
that was part of the Bible. In fact, the first thing I decided even before writing the whole movie was that this conversation is important. And in this conversation, it's just going to be the two of them sharing a frame because nowhere in the film are they together. They're always on opposite sides of the camera. There's always conflict. There's this one part where they are in perfect harmony. They are on the same page, where they are sitting next to each other. This is the closest they're going to get to the relationship they used to have before because they are on the same side. So from the beginning, I think that choice was locked. That I've even shot with two other cameras, but I think this was a sacred decision for me. Sure, I'm not going to move the camera because the whole film is about clutter, right? It's about, like, if you're sitting here, you would have gotten 2 messages, 3 emails, 1 Facebook notification, 3 Instagram notifications. And in the middle of a conversation, we have these multiple parallel conversations that happen in our lives. And these interactions, this clutter is also responsible for how we react to relationships. So for me, it was very important that I give them, Arnav and Ela, their space for that 8 to 10 minutes because that's the most important part of the film. So that I knew from the beginning that can't be removed because that's like the reason why we make this movie. Similarly, like Suchi's monologue was the reason I was making the political marriage.
Sure.
So those 2 scenes, I think,
Had to be sacred.
had to be sacred. Right. And then when Crow wrote a monologue, then you make
room for that.
we make sure that the montage earns that monologue.
Right.
So it's just parallel.
Sure. And just one last thing I want to ask you is about the visual treatment of the film because you have the SMSs coming through, you have so many news clips. Like, this is a very postmodern way to make a film because it's memeified, right? Like every shot is like a different meme. You have sections which are in black and white, you have sections in that rasterized color situation. So when you started writing this, was this all in script or was there something that while you edited you thought, let me shape it more, or just
Well spotted, rather. That was halfway into the shoot. We realized that we needed more of it. We had some of it. We didn't have too much of it. But as I was shooting, I realized that Randy Singh is mentioned, but it'll be good to actually shoot with him. It'll actually be good to get put a face to Randy Singh. So and similarly the lawyer, Amit was great with Amit's actually a lawyer, so he was able to pull it off. Amit's not an actor otherwise. So I think as I wrote and I worked individually with actors, like I worked separately with Nagesh, we had written his lines and he knocked that out. That was a one day with Nagesh. Similarly, one day with Nishanti, I would get all her bits because Nishanti is playing Rana, who is playing the girlfriend to Vila's character. So that whole day would just be me and Nishanti shooting together. So it was mostly just back to basics, have a camera, work with actors, go let's shoot. Just sticking with basics. I think that's what we.
No, I think it's very, very exciting. And the fact that, you made it the way you wanted to make it, and you told your story, and you've raised very interesting political questions, and it's a very provocative film more than anything else. And congratulations to all of you. And I hope wherever Anav and Keela are, that they're doing fine, that they have more hope in the world than we do. But yeah, there we go. Sudesh, any closing comments? Any words for your?
If you guys have any questions, happy to take it.
How do you go about writing this, man? What's your structure? Especially because you chapterized it.
Yeah. I had made a film called Good Night, Good Morning, which was an all-night phone call film. So I kind of the blueprint was already there that I make conversation films, intimate conversation films between like relationship films is what I mean. So Good Night, Good Morning is also on YouTube. It's a black and white jazz phone call film where two strangers fall in love over a phone call on New Year's Eve in New York. So that's a black and white jazz film. And that I'd written with Shilpa Ratnam, who's also here. She's my co-writer. So that film had kind of given us a blueprint of how conversations work, like a tennis match, right? So we had that rhythm in Good Night, Good Morning. So when I was making Side A, Side B, I knew it's kind of had to be the same rhythm, except that Side A, Side B was also a musical, the second in the trilogy. So this was written as the third in the trilogy. I knew this was going to be my last of the 3 romance films that I'm going to make. Good Night, Good Morning, Side A, Side B, Culture Vulture. 3. I'm done. So except that Culture Vulture initially was called Ain't No Sunshine. It had Nagesh Kukunur in the lead. He was playing a 50-year-old photographer in, he hooks up with an art gallery manager. So that was a different film, which we had started shooting. We had shot 3 days before, like, everything went wrong possibly in that thing. And I had lost like 15 lakh rupees in 3 days because that shoot didn't go well. I had a DOP from South Africa and everything. This was December of 2019. So I was already down with money. The film got shared. And then the pandemic happens in 2020. So I was like, what do I do? I've already started this film. And now I can't go back because I had the script. It's ready. But I can't shoot it anymore. And it didn't seem like I can make that film anymore. The one with Nagesh playing a 50-year-old photographer and all that. So I think August 30th, when Kangana Ranaut said that, and the film was always a pandemic, was a Visarjan film. It was always set on the Visarjan day. So that I was able to retain. So I knew it's going to be, like Good Night, Good Morning is set on New Year's Eve. So it had to be that, it needed to have that organic flow of one conversation that happens in one night. Similarly, Side A, Side B was on the train for 44 hours. So on that train journey, those 9 songs need to sound like something they just came up guitaring in a way that helps the drama. That was how Side A, Side B used it. So this I knew had to stand on its own. It was not going to be a black and white conversation film. It was not going to be a musical. This was going to be closer to a modern day. This might sound a bit much, but the intent was at least to do what Woody Allen did with Casablanca when he made Played Against Sam. So the idea was to do the same thing, examine the concept of a hero. But in the pandemic, like Casablanca's World War II, this is going to be like, pandemic is as close as World War III it gets. So for me, I had that blueprint of Casablanca, right? The outline is exactly the same as Casablanca. Of all the gin joints in the world, here, of all the newsrooms in the world, he walks into hers. He meets the ex. You have the thing, except that here she has a partner who's a revolutionary. In Casablanca, the gender is still like, it's a guy there. Here it's a girl. That's the only difference in terms of the plot. So for me, it was just trying to find the tone, and because when I knew it was about drugs, I knew I had to make it funny. So for me, most of the writing was trying to find ways to make it a satirical. So I basically translated a drama into satire, thanks to what Kangana said, because I wanted to make sure it's authentic and organic to the times that we live in. It needed to feel like this happened we know Kangana said this, we know this, that maybe Anav existed, maybe Ela existed, you know. So trying to see how we can build, like, that's what even Dhurandhar did, actually.
I just want, I actually left because I had to really go somewhere, and I came back
Okay.
because I just couldn't. I needed to talk. I just needed to just say, I've been showing documentaries and working in the social sector for 35 years. And when I saw this film this evening, I just felt this was like such a courageous film to make, to kind of bring out into the open all the conversations that we are having, all the love, the hate, the anger, the frustration, all the distractions that are going on, to put it in this way at this time, at the time when you made it, and keeping it all really kind of front facing in a way is really applause on that. And I also just really liked how you sort of intersperse the Hollywood, the Bollywood, real life romance, Mumbai showed up so interestingly as well. And the whole, even you're saying cinematography you didn't like. Sudesh, छोड़ दो उसको, मत सोचो, वो it's मतलब जो है ना उस frame में वो रह रहा है. And I really think we have to find ways in which this film goes out. I know it's really difficult. We're all so in a different frame right now. We're framed. But we really need to talk about what we've seen today and remember it. Remember all those clips and all those words that you've put out there, including your own writings. Just want to say thank you for making this.
Well, thank you for saying that. In fact, it's stuff like this that makes it all worth it, you know, like, otherwise there's no money to eat. So it really means a lot because the fact that we're able to watch it together, that's a big win for me. Like, so, when we had the screenings and based on the responses, we kind of figured, one is this may not be a movie for everybody because it speaks in English and it's too niche, it's too city-based thing, but this is what organically came to us, I guess. So
I feel like we are a part of this society, right? I mean, there are people like us who exist. So there has to be a voice for everybody. There have to be different voices. If everybody's making the same thing, तो क्या है? तो बन ही रहा है ना वो.
did you try going to festivals with us? That I think yes, we did apply to a lot of festivals, but we also heard from festival directors at the festival happens because in like through the consulate or the embassies because we need visas and all that. So the minute you have something like this, like one of my festival director friends said, Satish, your film sounds so angry, there's no way I can do it. It's not that you're the only anti-establishment films. We have other anti-establishment films, but none of them feel as angry as yours. I don't know how this is angry, but that's the perception that they got. Type it.
That's one person. I'm sorry, but I will just say that's one person.
Yeah, but
But-
the most festivals have this thing that the consulates are involved with the visas. So if it's against the establishment, this is a bit of a gapper. Secondly, it's not like an RT. It's not like it's not the serious side of India, right? It's still like it's about smoking up and talking, right? So at some level, it is not the kind of film festivals are bound to take seriously as any work of art because what guys are getting stolen talking. That's what it is. So obviously it's not the content is not something where we can make it like festivals. It needs a different profile of festival. It is. Yeah,
That's okay to new genre.
all right. Are we done then?
Yeah, please send it to Experimenta.
It's on YouTube. I'm sure there's so many of you who would. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's actually will send you guys a link. It's on YouTube. If you search for Culture Vulture with my name, you might find it. It's been shadow banned because it's got the names. It's got Narendra Modi, Kamala Ranaut, and hence we are not able to take ads. Our Google Ads account got disqualified because of those names and all that. So, it may not show up in search at all, but we give you the link. Please watch it to share with your friends. It would really help us if you can make at least one other person watch this. Thank you so much for coming.
You. Congratulations again, Kalsiwa. Jazim, take a bow. Yes.
शेयर करो, सब्सक्राइब करो, सेक्स करो।